Right, hello, welcome everybody. We have another awesome stream ahead of us here with Obelisk Rising. Of course, the pre-alpha playtest currently ongoing. And I know personally I've been having an absolute ton of fun with it, even though this is meant to be for bug testing and, like helping the devs actually essentially break the game so they know what to fix. Well, thankfully for me at least, it's just as much enjoyable on top of all of that as well. Good to see everybody on the YouTube side of things here. We do see Blaze and Reem. Good to see us. Good to see us. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. And thank you for joining me. Now, in our last stream, of course, it was a pretty awesome conclusion. We had a little bit of a hard time finding Illuvials. The spawn rates were not necessarily working, or something in regards to a server crash kind of happened, and it wasn't working there, but the devs did fix it with a quick little reset. And then right after that, we started finding some Illuvials, and this little mule that just kept on showing up. Obviously, it's tier 4, so it would be extremely difficult to actually catch. It kept sitting there, teasing me over and over and over again. Well, I tell you what, the second time that we found it, or rather the third time that we found it, I believe it was only like a 3% chance or something along those lines, and we did get to pick it up. And here he is. I spent a lot of time leveling them up. Heck, also a little bit of time increasing their bonds level. They are now level 5, so they have a bunch of additional passives. I'll go over all of that and more in a little bit. But it was an awesome way to finish off the stream. I'm looking forward to a lot more. As you could probably see by my level down in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm level 41. So I've been basically just grinding because, of course, with the main storyline quest, there was a massive jump before where the quest line was, say, around level 17, and then all of a sudden the next quest would be enemies with level 35. So the pacing was not necessarily appropriate, and I spent a ton of time over the weekend, maybe a couple hours. I wouldn't say necessarily a ton of time, but I was definitely online. I was playing a bunch, leveling up a bunch, and trying to get as high as possible here. Level 41, I imagine, will trivialize that quest now, but we will pick up where we left off and continue the Frozen Obelisk questline. Then, in terms of Illuvials, I'll show off what I'm working with as of this moment. Matt Puck, the Mad Dogs are here. Good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My Illuvials, so my team. So you saw the Archie. This was the first thing that I caught. That was a tier 1. And then you saw the incredible pickup there of the Mule. This thing is an absolute beast and is basically my main carry of sorts, at least for the damage side of things. Then I was just mining today. I wasn't planning on catching anything, but then a Riptor showed up. I gave it a shot, and I wish I was streaming. It was another 7% chance situation, and we did end up catching that. I brought it all the way up to bond level 4 as well, so definitely thankful for that. And then I also found a snail. It wouldn't be me if I did not have my snail here, so Tatofi is here. In regards to bond level, so when I'm talking about when it comes to bond level, Illuvials that you catch, you can basically, I'll use the word infuse, but not fusion. Fusion, of course, is the evolution method in the game. But I can infuse, I could basically burn that Illuvial to bring its bond level up. So you can see here with my mule, for example, this is the one that we're going to be working on today. We brought it all the way to level 5. I have a 20% additional damage from the affinity bonus. It won't let me show you it right now, but the intention behind it is that the air affinity will be attached to all of my attacks, doing basically 20% more damage every single time we fire off an ability or an auto attack in the form of air damage. So that's pretty cool. Class bond, not 100% sure. The visual side of things, you may notice that my bear's got a circle around it, and it kind of looks like there's air blowing through its hair kind of idea. That's the additional cosmetic buff for getting that far. Then enhancements, you'll see I have one made actually, where you basically have to hold, or you get a held item. And eventually you can get up to 3 held items. But the one I gave to my bear in particular here is an additional plus 10 to alluvial damage. Just from the amount of mining that I was doing, I was able to craft this thing without issue. So it worked out there. I think I have that on essentially all of my level 4 plus. The only exception is my Archie that does have the health augment, because I use this Archie when I feel like I'm in trouble and I need to tank, basically. Then last but not least is the passive side of things. I have what's called Ergon Shockwave, but with the passives, they don't tell you what they do right now. It's a part of the UI that's not necessarily developed yet. Perry knows about this and the devs know about this, so it is something that's being worked on. But we'll have to see, because I technically don't know what it does. But it'll be fun to try and learn. Awaken, good to see ya. Flexing the hollow mule, damn right. And of course, you may notice it's not necessarily hollow right now. That's a polish thing. They know about it. It's getting worked on. Now, I don't want to have the music going during the game, so we'll just switch it up for now. Just to get the full Obelisk Rising experience. Is there anything else I should mention? Oh yeah, so the big thing that I was doing, and why I was doing a ton of gameplay over the last couple of days, was in regards to shard collecting and leveling up my mining. So I've got my mining now almost level 40. I'm right around the corner from being able to hit that next threshold. But the big thing about mining, and something that just got applied actually into an update just today, is that your mining level, and when you're going after the higher level rocks, they actually give you better chances at then finding common shards, as well as like the higher level ones as well. So like the tier 2s, for example. And I imagine it'll keep going up and up and up. So thankfully, that prevents me, as somebody who's went through the time and went through the absolute slog, which again, I do want to give Illuvium and I want to give Obelisk Rising here credit, that gathering in any MMO is a slog. There's a very rare way to actually try and do it nicely. Oddly enough, I think even somebody posted this out in the Discord, but probably some of the funnest time I've had gathering was actually in Overworlds, when we were able to shoot it from afar and then just hit everything. That was pretty sick. So I'm definitely happy about that. Or I definitely enjoyed that, rather. But before, I would have to take my tier 0 shards, turn them into tier 1s, then take those tier 1s and turn them into tier 2s, and then so on and so forth. Now, that is still an option, but thankfully, since I did spend the time at leveling up my mining, I can actually get some harder to find shards much more often. So what I'm currently working with here, as I set up for today's stream, is 77 tier 0 shards, 65 tier 1s, and 38 tier 2s. I spent probably 6-7 hours over the last 2 days just mining and getting ready for this stream, because we're going to try our damnedest to catch everything. Ethan, Silver Bushman, Sota, good to see you. Can you show the genetic tab? There isn't one. At least not yet. It's getting developed, of course. The UI, oddly enough, their chat was kind of praising the UI, at least for looking clean over the last little bit. But it is still, or does have a lot of spots that are still in need of development. The statistics, or the genetics tab, is something that is still not available. The only way that you can see the alluvial genetics as of right now is actually going back to our old friend over here, the Fusion Lab. And if you happen to have 3 of an alluvial, you can click on one and then it'll show the genetics here. But I don't have 3 of any alluvials, so I can't actually peek at that. If you notice me hopping in and out of the main menu, there is currently a bug. I just realized I didn't have the game audio on. There we go, that's better. If you see me hopping in and out of the main menu, there is currently a bug in the game where for any alluvials that are beyond bond level 4, your ranger basically gets poisoned and is taking damage over time. So I might have to flip it around. Here's Dr. Spoon, hello there. So if you see that happening, that is why. It's because I noticed I'm taking ticking damage. I'm going to start things off here at Taiga Boreal. This is where we need to get the quest done. But I'm not going to go zip directly to the quest itself. I want to go travel and see if I can find some alluvials. Texan, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day as well. And then sadly, another bug that I've been experiencing. Hopefully I'm not taking damage. There we go, we're good. Is that every time I teleport, I have to reset my talents. Otherwise, it only gets me the level 1 version of my abilities. And considering I'm banking on heals to keep me alive, if I only have my level 1 heal, I think that would be a little bit of a problem. It's well known, it is documented. And then we can start the catching off early here with this, potentially it's a Tipo. So again, my goal here for today, catch as much as possible, because I want to be able to send this all to my polar bear, send it all to my mule as bond food. I want to see if we can hit level 6 today. Maybe we can hit level 7 if we're really lucky. And things are going in my favor to try and actually make this happen, because there was an update. I don't know if you'd seen the past streams, but you'll notice before that finding Illuvials was few and far between, and how long it took for them to respawn was painfully slow. But in this recent update here that just came out actually this morning, they upped it. So they made it so that it was much quicker now to actually be able to go get Illuvials, and the Illuvials respawn much, much faster, making the entire environment feel much more lively. And that is huge. I'm very thankful that change was made. This changes the game big time to feeling like a walking simulator to finding discovery. And even if it's just tier 0s over and over and over again, like we're finding here, Valentes, Fleesh, Dokas, that's still fine. At the end of the day, I can still catch these if I want to, burn them or not burn them, but infuse them into my bear if I want to. And it will feel very, very rewarding. In terms of how impactful are the skills, personally, I do find it being quite impactful. The Rangers, if you're talking about the Ranger in particular, my abilities are not like negligible by any means. Scion, now that it actually is allowed to move for the majority of their abilities, feels very good. And of course, I'm built as Water Scion, so support is my main goal here. But just being able to give my bear a power upgrade and let it do a lot of the damage, but yet even still, I do hit pretty decently. Like my normal setup here is I'll do 1 auto attack, let my bear pop a wheelie and go in there. This ability that I just used right there gives a bunch of additional power to my bear. And we can see it's chunking even through the shield. It's doing pretty good, to the point where I could comfortably just wait for it to knock it down itself. And then I'll throw the shard myself. I'll pop a heal because that damage over time from the all-seeing eye of sorts does add up, but I'm trying to speed the process along. Is it possible to send your pet out to do the dirtier work without you fighting? Kinda. You can do something similar like what I was just doing a second ago, where I'll fire off the 1 shot and then just AFK and let him go. And all's good in that regard. And as long as they're within range, it'll just kind of keep going. Attaboy. Just kind of clean them up like that. That part's good. Or I can set my Illuvial into aggressive mode by hitting 6. You'll see, actually, it's kind of blocked by me here. Let's see. Right down below beside me here, there's the paw prints, the footprints, and the jaws. If I hit 6 and switch it over to 6, when I walk by this mob right here, in theory, this thing should just go aggro. Yeah, it'll just go immediately. And I can just kind of let them clean up a little bit. And this is oftentimes what I do when I'm sitting around mining, is I'll keep my bear or I'll keep my Illuvial out on aggressive mode. That way, whenever a bad guy or an enemy kind of spawns in, my bear will clean it up very nicely for me. But I've only been able to do that right now because I am still fighting in very early areas. I imagine if I start trying to mine in tougher areas that I'm not going to be able to get away with that. But for the time being, I will absolutely enjoy. Oh, did you come through the wall? Let's hope I don't poison myself. Let's see. It looks like it did stop. Okay, we're good. Hold my breath a little bit every single time I have to summon my mule out. Or any of my Illuvials out, really, to be frank with you. And that's honestly like the best kind of case scenario here, or at least in terms of my opinion of the game. In terms of me thinking about something that is like bad or something I do not like, 90%, 99% of the things that I don't like about the game right now are just things not working properly, but it's noted, it's documented, and it's being fixed or being worked on. So on that part, it's fine. The only thing that is a major miss, I think Sota, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but like genetics you cannot find right now, and then, or there's no menu for it. And then in terms of evolution for like the fusion, for whatever reasons, the crystal shards that you need, or the gems rather, that you need for the evolutions are not showing up. The intention was that they would be here, but right now they are not. So, like, say my mule or any of my other Illuvials, I can't evolve them right now. They're going to be stuck in their stage 1 form unless I find a replacement of a higher stage just naturally out in the wild, which of course can be rare. And then lastly, it's just like a lot of UI-based stuff for the most part. Like, passive not necessarily being shown, or descriptions for abilities not being shown, Omega abilities, like, descriptions not being shown. It's a lot of descriptions, which thankfully, as someone who's been around Illuvium for a little bit of a while, I can kind of remember what everybody does, thankfully. But to a newcomer coming in, it would be a massive red flag, because you wouldn't know what everybody does. Because I will say this, like, all of the Illuvials, they behave one-to-one that they do in Arena. Nobody's Omega got changed from what I understand. With my bear, it's still the big old chomp. With the Tipo, it's a... or I guess that Omega kind of got changed up a little bit, because it's now a heal on top of a shield, if I recall correctly. But like Archie, they behave very, very similarly, if not the exact same. We were having a little bit of fun, and I think the clip was actually on JB's channel for when we were doing some boss testing. I think it was yesterday. But like the Lesser Gorilla, how it does the taunt and the clone, it behaves the exact same way. And I found it really, really funny because the gorilla would just like straight up T-pose on the haters, and I imagined that being the perfect taunt that a gorilla could do. And overall, just a very, very fun time overall. Come on, Fleesh. This one's level 30. We're starting to get into some heavier hitters here. Need to actually start using my stuff properly. There we go. The higher the level as well, the bigger boost you get for when you end up sending said Illuvial into the bond. So if I just got a bunch of level 1s, it'd be trivial. It wouldn't give me much whatsoever. So seeing Illuvials in the 30s and so forth, excellent, excellent for our goal here today. Not a fan of the mage staff personally, prefer the gauntlets or something like that. The staff looks like a medieval fantasy item. I'd agree, but thankfully that is something that I do enjoy. Would be cool to have another button or to allow additional Illuvials from your stable. Oh, like a swarming ability? That could be cool. I definitely agree. I don't know how difficult that would be to implement, but that would be a neat idea where you can get, like, just everybody to kind of swarm through. I definitely do like that idea. Yeah, not necessarily blasting through these enemies anymore, but at the same time, I've also opted not to play the DPS build. Again, just a support player at heart, but at the same time, I would rather survive and it take a little bit longer than, excuse me. It's rather than take a little bit longer, but then do more damage, but have a better chance at dying. How much more powerful do Illuvials get when below 50 HP? It's an enrage timer. If you had played other MMOs, basically you're almost guaranteed death if you do not kill it or capture it during that 50% time. It is scary and it ramps up very quickly. So I don't have an exact number for it, but it is absolutely devastating. There is something over there. I can't tell if that exactly what that is. Is that an... Oh, that might be our first rare find of the day. And when I'm talking about rare find, I'm saying like tier 3s and above. Because don't... That might be an ace. Our chances at catching this thing is going to be rough. I don't have tier 3 shards for the 50-50. Alright, top off. I don't want to mess with these guys at the exact same time. So let's see if I can pull the Beyblades without pulling the ace. So oh my god, that was a bad idea. Let's hope that sticks around. I immediately got swarmed. They immediately went into full Beyblade form. That was brutal. Do your stats change when bonding? Not mine personally, but basically you get additional... it's supposed to be additional 20%, if not some more. Yours loses power and resist. That doesn't sound like it should be that way. Let's try that again. We got absolutely crushed, but I'd love to be able to get a shot at that ace. Let me check my heal as well and see if I have to reset my talents again. No, it looks like it's doing the normal amount. Perfect. Alright, let's try that again. I think the ace is still here. Of course, if this was a more full server, what I would then have to worry about is somebody else seeing this and then running and trying to take it. And there is the ace. It's already shown up as red. It's coming. We got to go get it right here, right now, it looks like. And it is, in fact, a little ace. I do not have one of these as of this moment. I have tier 2 shards ready to try and get it. Bursting through it pretty quickly. But again, because I'm going tier 2 up against a tier 3, this is only a 16% chance! And streamer luck is going to bless me immediately. Ace on the case. Let's get that in. Replace our Tatofi for the time being. And there we go. Hello, buddy. Absolutely beautiful. Can't keep getting away with it, apparently. My gosh. Alright, so now the area that I need to quest in is right around the corner. I just got to jump the cliffs. Gonna try and let Ace get some playtime here. Boost up your attack. I want to see the pyro fields. Go to the skies, buddy. Can you get them? He didn't actually move, it looks like, unless he got stunned, so. I'm curious if it will end up going. There it goes. Dropping the pyro field on top of everybody. Beautiful job. An awesome new addition here to the squad. I gotta do a little bit more tanking for it, though, if I do it that way. So, pop our heal nice and quick. Thankfully, since I do have my skills completely maxed out into healing, with 120 healing per second, I basically get to the point where one heal of mine can heal half of my HP. Take this jump. This is where the quest is. It's not showing up on my map for some reason, but it is right here. There should be a bunch of level 35 bad guys or enemies to have to go after. In theory, anyway. It might not be here, actually. Huh. Yeah, there's supposed to be a terminal. I hit the terminal. But I've already done that. Well. Unless anybody who happens to be in the playtest is watching, it does look like, quest-wise, I'm on a little bit of a bug. And it does appear that my... I don't even have an Illuvial out with a bond level of 4. But you can see that I'm just going to slowly but surely just keep on dying. So I'm going to quickly reset. And go from there. If the ranger can go above level 60, the highest I've seen enemies is around that 54 mark. So that does suggest 60. But at the same time, I cannot confirm as of this moment. Thank you so much, Big Man JB. 16% chance, but we got him. Hello there. Any chance that they came back? Have I tackled any more dungeons? I have, actually. I went back to the same place that we had taken a look at before, now that I'm a little bit higher level, and I discovered that it looks like one of the main rewards that are being kind of given out for completing dungeons is a safety item that then gets used while you're upgrading your weapon. Because you can upgrade your weapon in the game to give yourself additional damage and like Omega power and such. But every time you upgrade it, you do have a risk of straight up breaking it. So the dungeons as of this moment have a lot of items that prevent the item from breaking in case it fails, which is definitely very, very useful. But what I also found interesting, of course, was the fact that the dungeons always have a different setup, even if you enter the exact same entrance. So it's not like you're repeating the exact same dungeon setup over and over and over again. It does feel fresh, it does feel different, and it does feel rather nice. Yeah, I'll have to give a heads up to the devs as to why that quest is frozen for me. I wish I could abandon it, but because it's main quest, I don't think you can actually abandon it. Alright, Ace and I are going to be a little bit separated here. Going to try and quickly pick up this Flish. Again, I don't mind going after all of these low tiers because they're high enough level to where it actually does make an impact when I send them into Bond. %50 chance. Back Ace up a little bit. And there's the Flish. Perfect. Yeah, this will be the goal of the day. Just catch everything. Let's see if we can get some rare stuff. And just enjoy the environment. We're not going to stay strictly in Taiga Boreal either, since I am high enough level. Then we can look at the other regions as well. What's the rarest alluvial you've found yet? Let me show you. I was not able to catch it. If I caught it, it would have been absolutely incredible. Here, we'll do this live real fast. It's not my mule. That's the rarest thing I've captured, but it's not the rarest thing I've encountered. One second. Bear with me for just a moment. Just see it? Let me quickly hop over here for a second. This was the rarest thing that I have found. I am so sad I was not able to catch this guy. But I found this when I was collecting teleporters in the in Brightland Steppes. And we'll see like in a second, because I only had tier 2 shards. Like, look at this, and down in the bottom left-hand corner, I only had like 2 or 3, I believe, or 4 actually looks like, of these shards, and just how absolutely difficult this encounter actually did end up being. Because look at the odds for trying to catch this thing. Of course, Adorius, a tier 5, the rarest tier of Illuvial, stage 3, fully evolved. And look at it just healing. It's such a tough fight, too. I was, what, level 34 trying to go up against this 49 as well. And it was very doable, but look at this. 0.2 of a chance. I think if I try to weaken it down, it ended up getting to like 0.3 or 0.4, but it was very, very rare. Or very, very unlikely. Had this actually worked, it would have been absolutely incredible. But unfortunately, it didn't. But yeah, like it took the entire enraged timer for me to even get it low enough to fire off one shot. What I know now is I probably just should have mashed shards. There's no point for me trying to get it too low. But it eventually does disappear. It does eventually go away. But that right there was my rarest encounter so far. Yeah, look at Mule holding its own. It definitely held its own very, very nicely. I was very surprised. And now that I understand a little bit more about how the devs kind of see the game in terms of levels, it makes more sense. But we're going to hold the phone for just a second here. This is another mule. I don't know what it is about this location right here, but mules seem to show up here rather often. Not all the time, but it's definitely worth a check every single time you're around here. Killed it immediately. I went to go switch my shard, and I blew that thing up. I'm sorry, mule. It would have been a rare catch nonetheless, but we'll see. How does a game want to solve the problem of competing for the most valuable Illuvials during group play? That is a great question, because it's definitely going to be weird. You better really trust the group that you're running with, because if somebody tries to get the itchy trigger finger and fire off a shard early... Okay, Ace, you are phenomenal, my dude. My god. You see how much damage that did? Damn, bro. Okay, but yeah, if somebody early or fires a shard off early and that Illuvial breaks out, then it's going to get half of its HP back again, right? And it's going to be back stronger. So it will have a much better chance of straight up just wiping everybody and not actually, not actually being able to catch it. And you're going to lose some friends if you're going to try and be a cheapskate. What do you mean by mass shards? So like, say for example, if I'm going up against that mule, for example, there's no major difference between me using a tier 2 shard and using a tier 0 shard, because the difference is like, say, if I use to use a tier 2, it'd probably be like a 7% chance. But if I were to use a tier 0, it would be maybe a 2 or 3. So when the difference is that small, and like no matter what, you're not going to have a good chance at catching it, I feel like you're better off just spamming the lower tier shards because they're easier to get. So that's what I mean by mass spam. Let me switch my tier 1 shard off. One more ace. Thank you. Any world bosses? I noticed there hasn't been incentive to group up and passing to rangers. They aren't out in the world, but there are boss locations that do show up by a green portal. And it's kind of like a meeting place to say like a traditional World of Warcraft style, where there's kind of like your meeting point, and then you can go party up to then do the boss kind of style. Let me boost his attack. We're gonna have 2 Illuvials coming at us here for this next one. Uh-oh. Okay, I thought I was gonna kill it there for a second. Now, my drone can only do 1 Illuvial at a time. So it is very awkward if you ever get into a situation where you have 2 Illuvials within capturing range. That's why I'm kind of hoping that they just stay like that. Yep, now this is rough. I gotta try and burst this one down, come over here, maybe get a capture. Pyrofield, you're just gonna kill this thing, aren't you? Yeah, okay. We at least get the Atipo, but my ace is not taking any prisoners. Just absolutely crushing it. Ace is dunking out here. They might have just become my new favorite Illuvial. I love, like, the satisfaction of the pyro fields flying on through. It's one of the most satisfying Omegas in Arena as well, when you get that perfect lineup and you're just doing damage over time to everybody. But you don't really notice it, you don't really feel it in the arena. Here I feel it, and this is really, really damn cool. And then just being a ranged fighter here as well. Oops, I sent you back out. Come on back here, buddy. Not going to see it this time, because I accidentally pulled my ace back in. And for whatever reason, when you pull your ace in, the Omega resets. We have a Rota. Let's get our tier 1 shard up here. Ace, don't murder it too bad, please. There will be a pyro field coming out in a second. Let's pause. Take a little bit of a lesser chance, but I know that my ace is going to try and dunk it here in just a second. Couldn't even click the shard fast enough, ace. My goodness, buddy. Alright, that poor little Rota's going to die. I like seeing my mammoth throw enemies. Yeah, that's the sick pickup that JB actually got on stream. Was it 2 or 3 days ago? I might have found the mule, but you found the mammoth and got the incredible pickup there, so congratulations there. And I imagine it's satisfying watching the mammoth just straight up yeeting other Illuvials. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lap back around. Since the quest is not doable at the moment, what I'll end up doing is going back to the Obelisk. And we'll switch up and go to a harder area. There is nothing but benefit if I can actually capture other higher tier, higher level Illuvials. So let's try and go to a harder spot. And heck, maybe I throw some bond levels into my ace to at least get bonds level 2, so I can get the 20% additional fire damage onto my attacks. I won't bring them up all the way to level 4 because I don't want to have to deal with the self-poisoning glitch. But I can at least get the additional damage. And it doesn't cost much either to go into those early stages. Get him, Ace. Or you're just not going to fire off this time. That's interesting. I wonder if it's because we're in a cave, maybe. I was expecting them to do a power field there. There's another Illuvial. There's a Doka we can pick up nice and quick. Alright, Ace. Go get him. Let me get my tier 0 shard out. It's low level, so it's not going to give us much. But it's something. Incoming. Alright, I clicked it immediately as the pyro field came through. So hopefully we can score this nice and quick. Not going to be the case. $55. Come on now. We got a stubborn Doka. I think I caught it? Okay. Oh, come on now. This is the most stubborn Doka I've had to fight yet. Alright, there we go. With it being lower level, maybe I'll feed that one over to Ace. And use that so I can use some of the bigger stuff for Mule. The Illuvials actually feel a lot like their classes as well. Bulwark's extremely tanky, high Omega damage. Yep, I completely agree. I know whenever I go up against a Grocko, like we're going to do right here, right now, even though that is a level 8, normally it's extremely tanky, but my Ace is an absolute legend. My goodness. That was its Omega, and we are vastly out-leveled. Maybe it has high physical defenses instead of energy resistance, which would be keeping akin to what we see in Arena. Because I looked away for 1 second, and my Ace just absolutely murdered that thing. Near Atlas! I tend to kill you guys, but let's hope that we can get you this time. Tier 1 shard, ready to rock. There's the shield and the splash, just like we would see in Arena. Tanking very, very well. Ace handling everything else. 44% chance. I'd say let me back up my ace, but my ace does not need any helping. And there we go. First Atlas coming on through. Check its Omega power. We can see if that's available. Because I won't be able to see the chart, for example. But like Omega damage shows level 5, which if we compare it to everything else, like compared to my bear, that's definitely on the lower side. Compared to my scorpion, it's very far behind. But I don't know necessarily if all of that data is accurate, if that makes sense. Looks like there's one more Illuvial over there before we switch regions. What do we got? It looks like Archie. Small little Archie over there. Go get him, Ace. Tier 1 shard in hand. I didn't see it at its Omega. Oh my god. Okay, one more time. Try to flish. Tier 0 shard ready. Go. Go, buddy. Bring it down to half. 1, 2, 3, go. There we go. And there we go. We'll pick up the flish. Now, before we leave, let's make our ace even more powerful. Like getting the bond system in. So I've got a handful of Illuvials here. I want to get it to level 2 to get the affinity, but I'm not going to go any further. So let's see. Want a Tipo. There's 1 level. The early levels are very, very quick, thankfully. Doka. Doka. Oh yeah, there we go. 20% extra damage. Yeah, when you see portals like this here, these are the raid encounters. So while it's not necessarily a world boss, this will bring you into a raid or an instance battle. And then if it's a purple one, it'll be a dungeon. We're going to do some of those actually in tomorrow's stream. We're going to be going through potentially the first raid boss. And we'll see who's available. If we're able to actually get a group going, or we can party up, maybe we can push some of the higher difficulties for some raids. Because I think I might be able to solo a couple levels of difficulty. But maybe not all, or not necessarily all of them. Definitely not all of them, because it does scale pretty quickly. Because there is basically an infinite scale in regards to the difficulty. It adds on new mechanics and such. We'll go over it a lot more in detail during tomorrow's stream. Now, because I teleported, let me reset my skills again. Okay, there we go. And Ace, where did you go? There you are. I want you to come on with me. This will be a good spot for you to level up as well. Already doing an absolute ton of damage, so you'll fit in here very, very nicely. I see Kirito's here as well. Good to see ya. The one thing for at least me personally, you can tell most of the optimization for the game itself went towards Taiga Boreal for the first part of this playtest. Because right now here for Brightland Steppes, my FPS definitely tanks a little bit. I wonder if the pyro field doesn't work because he was standing in water. That'd be a cool little side effect. Alright, there we go. All healed up. Try and dodge some of these. Don't want to get stuck battling too often if I don't have to. I just want to make sure I'm still progressing up here. Can we avoid that? We're probably not going to avoid that. Let's see if we can group, I guess, a couple of them up. No. Ace, come back. Let's just try to clear on through, looking for any sort of Illuvials here. This section is usually pretty good. Sometimes two of them spawn at the same time. In fact, it does look like that is going to be the case. So let me pull over. Are we out of range? Not for this one. Let's get them. Now there's two Illuvials at the exact same time, just down here. There's a huge lesser fire Valente. Good levels onto that. And another mule coming on through here as well. So there we go, tier 4. Let's try to cleanse this. This is not going to work out very nicely for us. Ace, you're going to get pummeled, buddy. Power you up right before your Omega. Not going to come out in time. Thankfully, it's holding its own. I'd rather not be attacking the Valente right now. I do need to keep this Ace alive. Come on, where's my ability? There it is. Just in time. This guy's just peppering me from the sides and making it very annoying. Split him up a little bit. This can work. The mule's going to be the first to pop, though. This is going to be rough. See. So a tier 2 shard gets me all the way up to 3%, which is honestly garbage. I'm just going to use... Oh, God, yeah, I'm better off just using, I think, a tier 1. Caribou coming out to save the day, at least in regards to tanking. But because of the way this is actually set up, I might not be able to get either. Waiting for my cooldowns to come on through. No, I'm going to get zapped down. I'm not going to get either of them. Going for the two at the same time. Very difficult. We lose the Valente, we'll lose the Mule. So just like the past couple of streams, we're going to get killed off by the Mule a few times before maybe we can pull one back later. There's my Mule. There you go, buddy. And so Ace seemed kind of busted when we were in the starter area, but I guess because it's a starter area, it's easy to maybe get a little too excited. It tanked rather nicely, and I'm sure I could have handled that better. But yeah, we're going to end up missing out on that encounter. But it is what it is. I kind of want to go double check the location that I found the Adorius before. What is that? I think it was on this... Was it on this island, I think? I think it was just down here. I'm going to zip over because there's not much I have to travel in regards to actually being able to find Illuvials. It's all just a...
They say third time's the charm, right?
A teleport spot, or just running across a vine. No Illuvials spawn on the vine. So yeah, right on the far spot of this. There is a relatively higher level area, I think, just up here that I do have to keep an eye on in regards to how many bad guys spawn. Yeah, they're in the 50s now here, so I have to be very careful. But levels don't necessarily mean everything. I had gotten a little bit of a better insight as to how Perry in particular feels that leveling should impact. And it's kind of based similarly off of old school RuneScape, where you can be 10 levels down but still actually be able to fight something. Meanwhile, I'm more akin to, say, something like World of Warcraft, where if you're 10 levels down or something along those lines, you get the skull that shows you that, hey, like, this is going to be an instant death encounter. And you probably shouldn't do this. So when I see such big level disadvantages, my mind is saying, don't even touch it. When in all reality, I could probably challenge it. Now, I might have gotten confused. I might have went to the wrong island. Let me check down over here. I'm going to have to reset my talents again, but I want to check the spawn locations. Because one thing I haven't figured out is if there is any sort of nesting or anything along those lines. It doesn't look like there is... Oh, it's a Tattlepee. We'll take that here in a second. I'm going to quickly do this. Yes, that is absolutely annoying that we have to do that, but again, 'tis an alpha. Not everything will be perfect. Okay, I am taking a lot of damage from the Tatofi Omega. It's just kind of splashing in onto me here. But now I finally get a chance to breathe. And the one thing that I didn't, at least I think this is a thing, levels don't necessarily make it harder to catch. It's all based off the tier still, I do believe. So just because it's Tatofi's level 45 doesn't mean we have a bad chance of capturing it. Trying to heal through, but the damage is still extremely tough. Very, very high. So you can get one more shot in before taking another break. And I'm going to get popped, and we're not going to get it. Yeah, this is a much harder area. My goodness. Very well could be skill issue. I'll gladly accept that. Kirito, I think there is some nesting in some locations where there's higher chance of specific Illuvials. I do agree. I know there's a one spot near where I farm for ores, or for shards, where it feels like I find a Jokel there, like maybe once every 2 hours or so. Seen Ador Adorito spawn in the same place, and I think I know exactly the place you're talking about. It was the same thing in the last playtest, actually. Every once in a while. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, there's Kirito.
Alright, let's try that again.
Yeah, because every once in a while... Let's see something. There's 2 Illuvials down here. And, of course, I'm poisoned. So, gonna have to come back. Badul, good to see ya. The place down there, yeah. I had found an Adorito as well, somewhere else down towards the south. It was actually very near, or very close to where I had found the phosphorus that T-posed on me in Overworld way back in the day. Way back down that way. Akira Blue getting a bit of a head start on me, eh? Get Mule back in here. Just don't give me the glitch, please. Thank goodness. Thank you, Kirito, for the backup. I think in terms of playtime so far in this playtest, Kirito has to be up there. Pretty much whenever I'm online, I see them online. Pop a heal, because my god, I am being smoked. And you can't avoid it, because Tatofi's just going to keep on firing off its Omega anyway. One more time, as we die again. Hang on. Oh. Shout out to the links there for you too there, Kirito. Very, very nice. Hang on. I'm not going to revive yet. Let's see. Can you get it? The Lynx and Kirito going after the Tatofi. I like that we can see the capture chance for somebody else's too. I thought that all of a sudden an Axon spawned out of nowhere. Unfortunately, that Tatofi will end up falling. Disappearing. Yeah, the game's not bad, but needs so much work. Honestly, I'm kind of in the same mindset as well. Like, the actual core gameplay of this game so far is actually awesome. I really enjoy it, and I still, like, even as of this moment, will try and take this Atlas on. Like, I look forward to coming into playing this. This doesn't feel like a slog for me in particular, or anything along those lines. Not that I'm just doing... Like, I'm not a favor, but just being a part of this playtest just for the sake of playtesting. But, like, no, it's actually very enjoyable. I'm having a fun time. The only thing is just all of the little bugs, all the little problems that stop the game from working properly or working as intended. That's the stuff that irks me, but again, this is exactly why said playtest is here in the first place, right? Let's get those all ironed out right here, right now, before we actually have to worry about sending the game off to the masses and then everybody getting hit by the same stuff. Now, all these catches are so much harder, but with the levels being so much higher, it would be absolutely phenomenal for the bond if we can get them a little bit lower and bring them onto the squad with a good catch. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 43% chance to scoop that one up. That'd be a nice big one if we could. Not going to get it. Damn. Grabbed an 89 TPI Adorius from ADR. That is incredible. Congratulations. Alright, let's try a little bit of a different area here. I found an Ador down this way before as well. I want to take a peek at this section just for a second before I leave. Oh, no shot. While I'm poisoned, we find an Adorito. Okay, we need to go fast because I'm about to die. Kirito, if you're nearby. Adorito. On my location. If I can't get it, take it if you can. It's obviously going to be way hard. Is this Adorito actually keeping these spools or the spinners alive? That'd be hell of annoying if that was the case. Oh, it is actually healing the enemies, too. That is so tough, actually. We are very close to the enrage timer here onto the Adorito. Right around that halfway point. I am at about half. So this coming on through is going to be bad. There's Kirito. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, I'm just throwing shards. And I'm going to get the glitch. It's going to break out. Okay. Try again. Can we whittle it down? How high can we get this thing if I get a tier 2 shard? Oh, Kirito's turn. That works. Yeah, take turns here. Okay, 0.6. Oh, Kirito trying it again. Let's see. One more time. Go! Oh, this is such a low chance of actually working. It's not going to go through. Damn. A nice try. Yeah, seriously. The fact that we found it was cool, though. Yeah, because I've seen a little Ador on this platform before, so while we were over here by the big skull, I was thinking to myself, maybe we take another look. Sure enough, the Ador was there. But I found that as, like, a pretty cool effect, that not only was the Ador healing it, or the Adorito healing itself, but healing the enemies nearby. Treating it like it was on the same team kind of thing. That was a cool little addition. I like that. Next up, what do we have here? No shot. Ador, now here. Let's kill these first before I get in trouble. The poison is still ticking from the Bond 4 glitch, but thankfully it's not like toxic or anything like that where it does more damage over time. As long as I can keep myself healed, I can mitigate it. Alright, Mule. We need to go quickly. I am slowly dying. Let's go. Power boost. Bonk. Power boost. And I'm basically going to try and use this thing on cooldown, keep myself healed up as best as possible. I do not want to draw in that other alluvial, not the alluvial, the other bad enemy fella over there. 1% and ticking with a tier 2 shard. 2%, that's probably the best we're going to get for a bit. Heal. Can we get the outward? This would be an incredible. I've not caught a tier 5. The chances are super, super low. Kirito is here as well. 2% chance. There it goes. This one over to Kirito. Attack boost for everybody while we're here. At 2% I'm going. There we go. Nope, not this time. 3. Got one more shot. I don't know if that was me or Kirito. It will end up falling. The tier 5s will end up eluding us once again. Nice try, though, there, Kirito. Just being able to find these out in the wild, though, is just so, so cool. I miss Overworld, and then I'm just having so much fun here with the playtest here for Obelisk Rising as well. Okay, that is a flish. Need better shards. I know. I really desperately do. That's why off stream I'm just desperately trying to level my mining. Because I want to be able to get those tier 3, tier 4 shards just through mining and not having to do the combining. Because I find the combining through the forge, I get why it's there. It definitely makes sense. I like having that option. But for a lot of players, that's arguably going to be the only way they're going to get some of those better shards. Which honestly does open up a bit of a potential here. Like, if there is people out there that really enjoy just gathering and selling, maybe that could be one of the ways where they can, like, work with the game, so to speak. Got the flish here. I'm not sure if Kirito's trying to catch us, so I'm going to try and let it be. There you go. We'll let you go from there. Since it looks like we're both trying to capture a bunch, I feel like we're kind of stepping on each other's toes a little bit. We'll let you handle that one there. What is the conversion rate to combine shards? It gets heavier the rarer you go. So, like, trying to do a tier 0 into a tier 1, it takes, like, 3 tier 0s to make a tier 1, which isn't bad. But then to try and take a tier 1 into a tier 2, that takes 5 tier 1 shards. So it's much more expensive. And then it just gets higher from there. When you're going into, I think, tier 2 to tier 3, then it's 7 tier 2s. Got a flish here I'd love to pick up. Level 29. Getting Beybladed on. I think my ace actually died, so Caribou's here for the save. Three seconds left onto this one. Fire away. Might not work, but we'll see. We do get it right at the last possible second. There we go. Zico Perico, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. What's the plan for the shards collected in Overworld? I believe that there is a very brief window. If I think back to a dev talk that Perry had, it would have been a little while ago. Oh, I'm not even using the right heal right now. God dang it. There's going to be a very small window where all of the ores, all of the essences, all of the things that you've collected from Overworld, for a brief period of time, for, like, say, just for an example, maybe the first couple of weeks from Overworld's launch, or from Obelisk Rising's launch, you'll be able to bring your stuff in. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's going to be 1-to-1 per se, but you'd be able to bring your stuff in for an exchange of goods, or something along those lines. I'm not necessarily sure if it's going to be shard for shard or how it works, but the stuff that you gathered from Overworld will be at least usable, tradable to get stuff into Obelisk Rising right off the rip. At least that's my understanding. We got another mule up here. We're going to try this again. Mule, and I think that's a Rhoda. We'll take a look. Quickly peeking at chat one more time. Can't wait to blast everything with Slash, and that'll be fun. 100%. Do you feel a big power gap between tiers? I don't have a tier 2 of anything, so I personally have not really gotten the opportunity to try that out. The only thing that I would have done before was from lesser Doka to greater Doka, but it's a Doka, so I didn't really feel it that great. Maybe if you're assigned to a group, you catch an Illuvial, your chance of catching another one should be drastically reduced. I mean, there is a way that they could manipulate it that way if they really wanted to. But I do believe that this is also meant to be just as much of a social experiment, or not a social experiment, but a social experience. Oh god, this didn't work out as planned. So you should, in theory, be able to talk about it amongst yourselves. However, I was just thinking about this actually, like, for people that grief. Is there anything that could potentially be done to stop that? Because I can see, like, somebody completely ruining the experience of another player by running around by every single alluvial that they go to and trying to catch it or screwing with the timer. That I can absolutely see being a thing, and I'm curious as to how they will manage that, because if your community turns naturally toxic, there's no saving it. Alright, let's try again with this mule. Thankfully, we were able to actually burst down the mule first this time. And Archie's a fantastic little tank. I'll gladly let it lead the way. How low can we get this first one? We're at 2% chance, maybe a 3. Looks like about 3% chance here onto the mule. Gonna slowly poke at the Rhoda as well. We get the mule again! You're kidding me! 3% chance. We've got ourselves yet another polar bear. And let's see if we can make it a twofer with this Rota. Snag another mule like that, and we would be all set for fusion, assuming it comes into the game. "15 seconds here onto this Rota. Let's see if we can clean it up. Just about 50% chance. There we go. Come heal, Archie. And we do get the Rota. There we go. We actually get the 2-for-1, including the mule. That was ridiculous. Is it hollow by chance? No, no, no. I can't get that lucky twice in a row. Now, the fuse system, how does it work like old Overworld? I do not know, because right off the rip, if you go to the fusion, you still need the 3 of one type. Or one type of alluvial. But then you still need the gems currently that you used to be able to use in Overworld as well, and those are supposed to be some sort of drops. But that currently is not working as intended. The gems are not dropping at all. I personally have not seen a single gem in my entire time of playing the playtest. And I believe Kirito had said the same in the Discord as well, so... And Perry acknowledged it as well, I believe, in one of the playtests that... Or one of the groups that we did over the last day or so, that's something that's not working as intended. So, unfortunately, I cannot evolve an alluvial yet through the fusion method or through any method, which is a big unfortunate miss. I'd be like so much more excited if I could actually evolve an alluvial right now. But this is still fun for the time being, and knowing that it is intended on coming back, which looks like in a very similar, if not one-to-one, compared to what we used to do in Overworld. As long as we can evolve. So I know some creature captures, creature capture games don't have evolution in the slightest. There we go, finally got him. That's the thing as well, yeah, the gems are tiered, so the tier 4 gems, I can imagine those being a very, very difficult thing to find. There you go, Archie. Top up, buddy. You have a lot more health compared to everybody else, so it takes you a little bit longer to heal here. The 2-for-1 section over here has some Illuvials again. I'm going to run quickly back down. Trying not to pull everything in the process. Yeah, we're going to pull at least one thing. Okay. No clean way out of there. It's like a Rota and a Valente. It's a greater Valente at that. We'll try it one more time. I'm not going to stick around here and just farm the same area over and over again. But I can see this being a great place to capture and farm if you're just strictly looking for quantity. I mean, you even got the mule, and the heck, this is a stage 2. This, of course, this is a greater Valente. So 2-for-1 while also having some decent quality. This is a very nice spot. But I'd like to explore a little bit. I don't want to just sit and farm in one spot. Now, since it's a stage 2, the chance of capture is much lower compared to what we saw before. Just blew it up, because of course I did. Go back to the road. God dang it. I need tier 1 shards. There we go. Not blow it up. Let's try to get this close to, say, 50%. This is probably as close as I'm getting without being scared about killing it. Let's try that again. Not gonna work the first time. I'll have one more shot at it if I want maximum amount of chance. And skill issue. I was too slow again. We kill off the Rhoda. Damn it. Alright. Upscale the Illuvials compared to the Ranger. Absolutely. Yeah, even with some of the small Illuvials that we have here, you can see like they're so tiny. But then you actually pull out something a little bit bigger. Even the greater Doka, like, had some size to it. We saw the Adorius in the video, or the video earlier, how tall that thing and how majestic that thing looked. Imagine Jotun and other, like, big Illuvials would be very similar. Personally, I want to stand next to a Titanor. That would be really cool to me. We'll check out a couple more spots here on Brightland Steps, and then maybe we'll make a run through Abyssal Basin. We do have an Atlas over here, so I'm going to take a look at that here in just a second. We are getting spun on. Let's clean them up, please. Rather not have to deal with these enemies as I'm fighting the Illuvial. Is this another 2-for-1 section? There's an Atlas, and then what's behind it? Oh no, that's just the eyeball spawn position. It's just one. All right. There we go, Archie. Very, very reliable little turtle. Tier 1 shard is ready. Boop them. Then bonk. And go. Just about a 50% chance to scoop this one up. And right on the first try. Hell yeah, there we go. Perfect. Is that a Revo? That's an evolved one. Okay. Let's go this way. I imagine this one's going to be a little bit tougher. Yeah, level 35 Revo. Okay. Go. Drop Archie. Of course, you are ranged. I keep forgetting about that. I think, oh yeah, Revo's a rogue. You just back up with Archie. No, it's going to shoot from afar. So here. Let's see if it spins on me. Not quite. Of course, we do have extras. The ads are coming on through. Get rid of the ads. Now we're right in position to try this. Of course, now with this being an evolved form, it's not going to be a 50% chance. Slowly but surely shoot it down. We'll try 20% here. I'm going to try the tier 2 shard. I have a couple of them. I can warrant maybe spending one. Oh, we don't even need to. There we go. Revo coming on through. I can maybe even give this one a shot myself. He's a ranged unit until he's not. Yeah, that's a perfect explanation, all things considered, for Revo. And let's bring him in. Take Ace's spot for a minute. There we go. Revo is here. Here, go after these guys for me. I'm just going to have to protect you a little bit better than what I would do with, say, my Archie. Let's get that heal basically out on cooldown. Here. Where's the Torpedo? Can you spin on them? No, not this time? Majority of the Illuvials that we've seen so far work basically one-to-one to their arena counterparts. Maybe Revo doesn't. We'll see. Blazin'. Once Obelisk Rising is out, will those... Oh, there's the Torpedo. There it is. Nice shot there from Revo. Did he just hop all the way back? He did. Interesting. So he dives in, then jumps back out. That's cool. Once Obelisk Rising is out, will there still be drone runs? Now, I believe the theory is that once Obelisk Rising comes out, then auto drone will no longer be a thing. And then I would imagine same thing with deathmatch packs, and make it so that it is specifically tied to joining Obelisk Rising in regards to getting Illuvials, which I personally see would, or feel like that'd be the best way to do it. Because if you left the deathmatch packs on, it would still just be completely, like, counterintuitive, so to speak, right? Like, you still want people to farm on through, and if their intention was to make deathmatch, like, here, I'll say this even if it's not a positive thing. If their intention was to make deathmatch a game where people can just quickly come into and just blow a bunch of money on gambling, well, that ain't it. It isn't it right now. Right now, let's be completely honest, deathmatch is just a place for people to spend their extras who are already playing Illuvium. Trying to find other players who don't play Illuvium to play deathmatch, that is, at least from what I see, basically non-existent. That if you're in deathmatch, you are already playing Illuvium one way or another. So in that front, I would just take the packs out of deathmatch as well. Just make it all tied in to Obelisk Rising. 45% chance here to snag the snail. The snails have been kicking our ass so far here today. Oh, we finally get one. There we go. I'm sure they wanted to lower the overall alluvial count before Obelisk Rising comes out. I definitely agree that that was probably one of, if not the main goal for Deathmatch coming out when it did. Especially because there was absolutely zero marketing done of Deathmatch. Like, it wasn't shadow dropped, but it might as well have been, because the game came out, there was maybe a small announcement or something, and then they just completely, like, stopped, so to speak, to be completely frank with you. So I imagine, with the lack of any sort of marketing, that the entire intention behind this, like, Deathmatch coming out when it did, was specifically to burn supply. And was it needed? Probably. If, in fact, 100% it was needed. And it makes sense why they would want that. Alright, going back to my tier 0 shard. This is a greater water Doka, this time level 36. Bring this to about a 20% chance, then let it rip. And there we go. We're going to be able to get it. Perfect. We got to top Archie up here for a second. The overworld deathmatch where you could fight each other as your Illuvial was peak. I don't think I was around for that one, or wasn't paying attention to that part when it was out. So yeah, I'm definitely missing out on that. I'm still not... Yeah, this bug is going to kill me, man. I forget it's also when you fast travel that, or even when you die, you have to reset your cooldowns or reset your skills. Otherwise, you're going to use your version 1 of that ability. Are you still doing 30 healing per second? I just reset it. Here, let me let the cooldown go down first. One more time. All right. Heal. Yeah, it's just straight up going to be giving my poor little Archie the small heal, it seems. Huh. Well, we'll play on. I think there was an Illuvial down this way. Whatever this is over to the side. Looks like a Doka, maybe? Lesser water Doka. Okay. Yeah, Doka, come to me. Drop Archie. Gonna just keep this heal on cooldown, since the amount is pretty low. Damage buff incoming. Okay, drop that onto them. Big damage coming on through against the Doka, so we're going to get this to 50% nice and quickly. Not going to get it the first time around. Can we get closer to 50%? We absolutely can. There we go. Keep using my tier 0 shards. And there we go. One more on the field. Like, these fights are so much harder, but this is just going to be so much more experience added to the bond level when we do finally do it. I guess what's the trade-off? Getting smaller Illuvials, but quicker. Or bigger, but less often. What do we got here? Another Tatapi? Go get him, Bear. Let's see. Gilliman, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Some friends and I applied for the Obelisk Rising event just to try it out, but we haven't been called back. How do we receive an invitation? When and if you do get an invitation to the playtest, it'll be through the email that you signed up for originally with the application itself. Now, this first playtest, the Phase 1 version that we're doing right now, this is still like a very small playtest in general. I think this week, like just today actually, I've been seeing a few more new faces in here, so they're slowly but surely adding more players into the playtest. But going into Phase 2, which is supposed to be happening sometime either later this month or sometime a little bit later, there's not a specific date for it just yet. Tadavi's going to leave us here. But sometime a little bit later, That's supposed to be a bigger one that's more built to try and, like, stress test the environment with more players in lobby. That's the one that you're probably more likely to get into. But I think your application for now still applies then. So just keep an eye on your email. And I'm sure it'll come with time. Yeah, this is still a very, very small scale playtest, all things considered. But they are going to need people, again, for when Phase 2 comes around. When they're trying to get as many people in as they can. Here, little Rip. First time we've seen you today. Get in there. And I poisoned myself by putting you into the battlefield. That's just great. Okay. Quickly drop the heal. Tier 0 shard ready. Get the shard out before my Riptor does its sting. Otherwise, I probably would have killed it. Poison is very fast this time. It's ticking me down by like 50 per tick. I'm going to have to do one more, and then I'm going to die. Let's see. From 50% onward, can we get it? We're not going to be able to. Then one more out as I go down. And we'll break out. So this one's going to lose or leave us. And then I'm going to have to go back to the main menu, because as you can see, you could actually go on a bit of a death loop, because the toxic, or the poison I've been calling it, does not go away when you die. It just kind of keeps on going. Here, let's reset that. Looking forward to it. That's awesome. My friend's really excited to play, I imagine that's Pal World Web 3. And honestly, this is one way that you can consider it. Just, of course, do note there are obviously going to be differences. Like, I know Pal World, for example, I love Pal World as well. I've played at least 300 hours worth of Pal World. I really enjoy it. But that is more of a base builder at the exact same time, right? It's not strictly, or it has creature capture as the main thing. But the secondary part of it is the base builders. The dungeons are kind of splashed on additionally. The raids are kind of splashed on additionally. But the core thing is being able to catch pals and then be able to make your own sick base for all of them to work for you, right? So you're not going to find that exact experience here for comparing it to Pal World. But again, like you were saying as well, like you're similar to World of Warcraft. That is a very good inspiration source, and with the devs also taking, say, old school RuneScape into inspiration for this game as well, it'll feel like a little bit more of a traditional MMO. Hey, look at this, a fern! This is the first time I've seen a fern here in the playtest. Tier 1 shard, no, we'll go tier 2. Let's see what the percentage chance is. I don't have my right heal, I did not keep the bug in mind once again. It's a 3% chance with a tier 2 or a 2% chance with a tier 1. So either way, it's still very, very low. 5% with a tier 2. Let's give it a shot. Would love to be able to pick up a fern. One of the coolest supports in the game. And if it behaves similarly to what we see in Arena, it's going to have probably one of the most overloaded kits known to man. And I'd love to be able to pick it up. Let's see. 3. Let's get the 4% again. And just keep firing it. I'm just going to keep firing. Come on. Nope, nope, nope. Do it again. I'll just keep firing shards out. Again, my percentage chances are not good for this. It will probably escape here. Come on, Fern. One more time. Any chance. Damn. All right. A valiant effort, I feel. But unfortunately, the Fern will get away from us today. Let's see, do I at least heal myself for a couple hundred per tick? Yeah, okay. Oh, it's working properly from my Revo here as well, so maybe it's just an Archie thing. When in doubt, go back to the main menu and come back. That's the equivalent, it seems, of they should turn it on and off again, or off and on again, and getting it to work. Damn, a Fern would have been cool, I'm not gonna lie. Here, we've got a half hour left. Want to check out Abyssal Basin? And check out what's going on there. Abyssal Basin, very similar to Brightland Steps, where they're at least level 30, if not higher. I think it's actually an even higher leveled zone than Brightland Steps, so this could be scary. If I'm already having a hard time, this is going to be very tough. We'll see if we can find the right spots. I've ran around here already a few times just to collect teleport spots or fast travel points. But in terms of spawn locations or alluvial levels or anything along those lines, I have absolutely no idea what to expect here. Okay, so again, I teleported, so let me do that one more time. Alright, let's see what we can find. Yeah, 'cause at least Brightland Steps, I kind of knew where the spawn points were. Here, I am completely lost. Enemies are already in the mid-30s, and it's only going to go up from there. With there being so much water on this map, it does take a bit of a hit to my PC in terms of frame rate. But it's not unplayable. It's not Monster Hunter Wilds level of unplayable. Oddly enough, that's a game that's actually been kind of compared, or this has been compared to a little bit with Monster Hunter as well, but like Monster Hunter as if you're able to capture the raid boss at the end of the fight type of ordeal. And honestly, with the way that I've been playing it, it does feel very Monster Hunter-esque, at least old school Monster Hunter-esque. Like, Wilds definitely tamed it down a ton, but I remember back in the PlayStation Portable days, the PSP days, so Monster Hunter Freedom 2 in particular. You can spend an entire play session just grinding for resources, grinding for honey to make your potions and such, and grinding that same boss over and over again just to get the gear necessary to even go after the next boss. This felt a little similar, I'm not going to lie, at least for what I'm doing here today, but it's also kind of my own problem here, because I spent a ton of time. There's our first level 60 of the day. Yikes. Because I wanted to stream, and then I don't want you to be watching me on stream while I'm just sitting there clicking a rock, right? That's not going to be entertaining. So in order to make sure that I had enough shards here for today, I wanted to spend as much time as possible getting shards, so we can actually get into the swing of thing immediately, and just keep on going with the action. It felt kind of Monster Hunter-esque, I'm not going to lie. The first thing we're going to find is a lesser nature Atipo, so I'll get the tier 0 shard out. It's level 37, so it's not too bad. Mule, get out there, buddy. Power up. Bam, attack damage. The shield from this Atipo is absolutely a pain to try and burst through. Especially since we're doing so much damage to it that it actually gets its Omega very quickly. This is looking like almost like a virtuous Lynx, where the heals are just coming out non-stop. Attack damage boost as we get into the enraged state. See if I can bring this closer to 50. The Enrage is absolutely crushing me right now, though. I'm already half HP. Pop an Essence. Didn't see which percentage I ended up getting to, but I need to try and... Maybe I have to actually fight this outside of the circle. But then I can't use my big damage moves. We'll go for one more catch attempt here. Fire it off from afar. And then heal up with her buddy. It will end up leaving us. And that's why you use a Tipo as your tank. That definitely makes sense. I know Archie behaves very similarly. And I love it for it. Got one of those purple portals. There's a dungeon down that way. I believe it's at least 50 plus, though, so there's no chance we're going into that, at least not right now. We found the one at Tipo, but otherwise nothing yet in regards to other Illuvials. The Mule, definitely our biggest catch of the day, but it wasn't the biggest one that we found. Of course, the Ador and the Adorito both did show up in Brightland Steppes. That was extremely cool. But unfortunately, weren't able to get a capture onto it. It was a very, very low percentage chance. But we saw the Fern, we caught the Mule. Still been a pretty cool day so far, and I'm having a blast doing it. I definitely wish I had some more powerful shards. But if you were given all of the tools you need right off the rip for an MMO, that wouldn't feel right. Leveling up, I'm very close to mining level 40, which in theory, if it behaves similarly to the other mining spots, means that I should be able to start having a much better time at finding uncommons, but then maybe finding the occasional rare shard, which would help me with my tier 3 catches. But if I'm looking for tier 4, tier 5, I'm probably going to have to get an absurd level of mining to get those. You think you know where there's a lynx out here? That would definitely be cool. Of course, you know I'm a sucker for lynxes. I haven't seen one whatsoever in Taiga or in Brightland. Did I get this already? I can't remember. Yes, I already did. Okay. Those little exploration points like this that you see here, while leveling up your ranger gets you class-based ability level ups, finding these points here are what let you get the affinity-based level ups. So, if I wanted to, say, upgrade my heals, for example, I had to do a bunch of exploration first. I couldn't just spam levels and get them leveled up that way. A lot of bad guys over there. Let's not go there. It seems very spaced out. I'm debating on maybe just going back to Taiga to finish this up, even if it ends up being a bunch of lower level stuff. I might just not know this place good enough to warrant farming heavily. Let's see a portal over here. I just want to make sure I have the fast travel point for it. It looks like I do. Yeah, there we go. Is that an alluvial or just an enemy? I think it's an alluvial. What do we got here? In a sea of level 50s, or almost level 50. Or maybe that wasn't an alluvial at all. Yeah, it was just bad guys. Damn. Okay. Yeah, I'll turn around here in a second. Yeah, don't know the area well enough, I think, to go through this too quickly, and I only have about another 20 minutes. So, better off going where I know best, which has been Taiga. Once I learn Abyssal Basin a little bit more, maybe we'll do another separate trip here one day. Okay. For our team, I do want to bring Ace out a little bit more. Maybe Riptor, since you keep breaking the game, we'll put you back here. And get Ace back out here. Lynx wasn't home? Okay, that worked out. Alright, fast catches, here we go. We know the Flish is here. Give it a bonk nice and fast. See how many we can catch in 20 minutes. There's one. Next Flish. Two, three. Try again here, Ace. Nope. 50-50. Stay in the drone. There we go. Down this way. Sometimes there's a Graco. This time it's going to be a Valente. I'm going to take a peek down that way in a second. Every once in a while, or even in the very first run that I did here, when I first started the game, I did find a Riptor that way. So I'm curious if we're going to get lucky and maybe find another. I, of course, do need a few... Oh my god, Ace. Okay, now you're back to cooking. Okay, so Ace is just phenomenal when you have over-leveled your area and you just want to clean things out fast. Because I was not finding this dominance when we were on Brightland Steps, when it was a more even playing field. There's a Doka up here. Level 20, that's a little bit better. Push it down a little bit more. We're very close to 50%. There it is. Ace is ready to taste blood in just a second. Thankfully, they do go into the ball because they know better. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it was right around here that I found a Riptor before. But nobody's home, it looks like. I'll take a peek over here as well. This is where we caught the mule on stream during Friday's stream. Or Thursday's stream, rather. First time we got that big upset. It was crazy that we were able to do it again. That was nuts. Let's hear this time. Graco? Okay. Okay, so I used its power field, but the big damage wasn't there this time. I'm wondering if it was just because the Graco was tankier. But no, earlier in the day we saw it absolutely melt a Graco as well, so I'm not exactly sure how the interaction works. But the one interaction I do care about is the fact that that Illuvial went and stayed inside the drone. So there we go, got another Graco here. I'm curious to see how far we can go for my Polar Bears bond level from 5 to 6. It's going to get to, it's at the point rather now where it does take a lot to move the bar. But I'd love to see what level 6 is if possible. We have a good chunk of Illuvials here today. I'm not going to get rid of the bear because I'm going to keep it for the sake of fusion. I'd love to be able to evolve into a Jotun. Or not Jotun, a Joko. It will keep the lap going into some of the bigger level areas, or at least bigger level areas for the sake of this area in particular, or this region in particular. I do find it odd, there is no Illuvials in this cave, so you're better off just pulling your Illuvial back and just chucking through it, running through it. But then up here, where Badul is actually, is where the Illuvials start to show up again. Good to see you, Badul. As I say, do you need a heal? But it looks like your Grotto's got you pretty well covered. I'll top you off there for a second. Anyway, he'll wander on, do his thing. Did I reset my stats before coming through? Can't remember. We've got a lesser gorilla here now. Nice. Tier 1. Load the shard. Come here, gorilla. You'll see the clones come through, I imagine, in a minute if Ace doesn't just completely evaporate the grip. Yeah, I don't think I'll reset my skills again going into this region. And the Ace is going to end up going down. So a little bit unfortunate, but we've got Revo here now. Of course, one thing I do like about the game, as soon as one of your Illuvials gets taken out, the next one jumps in immediately. And there we go. We picked ourselves up a lesser gorilla. I need to reset talents again, right? Now, this area here, I've been very lucky at finding Jokels here. But I've not been lucky at catching Jokels. So we'll see. We can at least find it to start things off here today. Or not to start things off, but finishing things off. Right there. Any chance you're home, Big Bear? You are not. Not lucky this time. Let's see. Sometimes there's Illuvials over in that corner. I don't see anything as of this moment. There is a Fleesh over here that we can go play with. Kira Blue, come join. My apologies if you hear any rumbling. It does seem like there are some people on the roof working. Alright, 54%. Come on, Kira Blue. Let's see if we can get this catch. And then we'll go back over there. There's another... Is that another Ace? Okay, that would be awesome. The ultimate goal... Oh, no, it's not an Ace, is it? Oh, no, yeah, it is. I think that's an Ace. Monarch is just such a beautiful Illuvial. I would absolutely have one on my main team if we were eventually able to get there one day. Alright, let's go back over there. Let's kill off these bad guys first, or the enemies. Or they'll teleport away and hear it rather nicely here for me. Yeah, there we go. The second Ace of the day. It's what started off our big catches. Can we maybe do it again? Tier 2 shard in hand. Alright, Ace. Kira Blue, keep tanking. Enrage. Knock it down a little bit. Oh, Kira Blue actually did a surprising amount of damage there. 16% chance. It's not likely, but we're going to get our second one of the day. There we go. Perfect. One more step closer to our taste. But again, just trying to find the gems later is going to be super difficult. Ace, of course, being a tier 3. And that is a tough Illuvial level to find at all. That's why I was super excited for it. But it also means that I imagine once the gems are coming out properly, that they will be very difficult to find. Well, if it's done by mining, hopefully my mining level will be ready. Alright, another Doka to fill the gaps here. Let's get this one in the shard as fast as possible. Tier 0 shard in hand. About 50% chance. Scoop it up. Stay healthy. And try again if needed. Rinse and repeat. There we go. Okay, there's something over there as well. We saw the Flish last time. Is it the Valente now, it looks like? It is a Valente. Go get him, Kira Blue. Tier 0 shard. Go for again. 54% chance. Is the bear home, I wonder? The little bear. When we started off the day, there was a mule over in this corner. And it doesn't look like it, and I do find that odd. It seems like either a mule spawns here, or nothing spawns here whatsoever. I just want to thank you, Kirito. Thank you. Was a little bit slowpoke on the chat there. My apologies. Water Flish. In level 20, is it better than the level 8s or anything along those lines? Yeah, Kirapu actually packs a decent punch here. Yes, I do have the level advantage. But the auto attack from the Kirapu is actually pretty decent. Look at this guy go. He's chipping away at them pretty well. Unless maybe it was its Omega with the taunt, of course, because the taunt is still a part of the game. And then in that, or with that, you'd think that the thorns would be as well. Wish. That works. We'll come check up here. I do want to check one more spot, so we'll do like a half a lap. Because I have seen slap-ins before. It would have been during our opening stream, or our first stream actually. Would have been, what, Tuesday, I think? There is a spot where I've seen the slap-in. I didn't have anything to try and deal with it before. But I would have a much better chance now if we could find it. Thankfully, these tier 0s are cooperating with me, letting me get a couple more extra catches before we close out here for the day. This last spot will probably be the last spot I check, though. Okay, we'll capture... Was that just all based off of Thorns damage? Damn, Kira Blue. I accidentally used the tier 0 shard on the tier 1, so that's probably not going to work out in my favor. Ooh, I almost killed it. Almost killed the Rota. There we go. When you use the right shard, it can make all the difference. While the low percentage plays are fun, I'm thankful that they are a thing. But definitely getting the higher tier stuff is so nice. Which again, I know I mentioned it in the last stream, I believe, as well. But I do love the fact that you can have a weak shard, but there is still a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance that little, like, for glory moment can come through, and you can still catch it. Because if I recall correctly with Overworld, it was a lot stricter in regards to shards having 0% chances, like no chances at all. Like I remember the tier 0 shards, if you tried to catch, I think it was either a tier 1 or a tier 2, it would be 0%, and it's like, okay, that's just frustrating. I like now that even a tier 0 shard can at least get you 1%. So, if you want to throw shards, if you want to get lucky, make that low percentage play, you can still do it. And it's epic as hell when it does work. Now, it's this cliff here, right by the cave. This is where I saw slapping before. Love to be able to see it right here, right now, before we clean up and go home. Keep forgetting to use my dashes. Oh, there's something? I think it's just a flish, unfortunately. We'll still grab it since we're here. A peek at that Chuko spot that we've seen with Kirito on the last stream. You see Badul on the move. I accidentally pulled back my Caribou. I was going to say, why is everybody attacking me? One thing I consistently keep doing whenever I try to use my fourth ability, I tend to fat finger the R button, so I just end up bringing my Illuvial back and out of the battlefield. During the rating playtest that we did yesterday with a bunch of the playtesters, I don't know how many times I did that. It was bad. I'd be looking to my Archie to go make a heal, and then all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, my Archie isn't actually out on the field. Heck, I just did it again. Look at that. I wasn't even trying. This Flish is absolutely obnoxious. At least these are just tier 0 shards. Come on, buddy. There we go. Well, how long has my hair been snowing like that? Apologies if that was a little off-putting. Alright, one more peek. It looks like, is that just an Tipo? That's another Flish, it looks like. One more for the road. Level 30. Or almost level 30. Of course I pull the entire pack. Why wouldn't I? There we are. One more fleece for the road. There we go. I say one more, and then I see a Grocko down there. Okay. Last one, last one. Is it bad that I didn't know there was a cave there this entire time? I keep saying last one, and I keep finding something additional to discover, which for an MMO is exactly what you want. That feeling of one more quest, one more adventure, one more thing to check out. Keeps you guessing, keeps you excited, and keeps you playing. And this game does have that in droves. Give me some 50. Alright, there we go. Oh, this area is beautiful. I absolutely like it. Definitely agree with you there, Ethan. There's so much going on, I'm not gonna lie, I lost track of the Grocko's HP, and we end up blowing it up. Yeah, because I always run past this area. I tend to run up that way to go towards the questing, but let's take a peek. What is this way? Here, Caribou, come back. We're just going to slide through this. It might lead to nothing, but still, I've never been this way, so I want to check it out. Or was it just a shortcut downstairs, maybe? It might have very well just been a shortcut. Oh. This is where the questing should have been. So this is the path. Have I been taking the path to the quest wrong this entire time? I always jump around. But there was a pathway to it this entire time. Oh. Better late than never, I guess, because I would always just do this. Well, if I was being patient anyway. Skill issue. But that's kind of funny. Alright, we'll close out there, but let's see. How far did we get this bond level loaded? So I'm going to keep both of the not the art cases, the aces. And essentially everything else is getting pumped into the polar bear. I want to see if I can hit level 6 with it. It'll be tough. There is a chance that we don't, but maybe we do. All right. You don't have to go to this area, but I just want to hang out in this building while we end up doing this here. We don't have any triples, do we? Oh, we do have a triple. I could showcase the fusion thing. So yeah, this is the only way right now that you could find stats. You can go to the fusion center, very similarly to what you can do with Overworld, and it's the exact same kind of scenario, where you just click on your Illuvial. It does actually show the levels and the TPI, or the bonus stats. Those are all here in this menu, because of course it's very similar or the same to what we saw in Overworld. You can tell right now it's in a bit of an incomplete state with how dark it is and everything along those lines. But it looks like it's the exact same kind of situation. If I want to say click 1, 2, and 3, and then say add water gem, but there's at least nothing in regards to success rate. It's still, no matter what, going to evolve the Illuvial, which is nice. But I could take a peek at a couple of these Illuvials that we did end up getting. Any perfects by chance? It would not matter, because anything that we catch in the playtest doesn't go over into the actual game. This one's pretty sick, though. That's a nice little flish there. Offensively loaded, almost. Decent tankiness as well. Doka. Decently offensive Doka. Just sucks that there's no Omega power. That's still pretty cool. Revo. Decent damage. Good damage, actually, onto the level 31 variant. And let's see, for the Valente, not too bad as well. But we're not going to be keeping any of these. What we're instead going to be doing is leveling our bear. So if I hop on over to this screen here, this is where we're going to be getting the job done. I've got my bear. It's currently at bronze level 5. We are a very long ways away from hitting 6, but I do want to see, with the amount of Illuvials that we've caught here today, how close do we get to getting to level 6, and then potentially what is the benefit for getting bond level 6. Now, Tatofi, do I want to keep one Tatofi? I've got one that's 31, I've got one that's 38. We'll keep the 38, because I'm a sucker for the Tatofi. If I wanted to catch more, though, for evolving it later, I can absolutely do so. Well, let's not bond the Tatofi. That's not what I want. There. We'll go like this. And we just keep dragging them over. Grilla. Keep on crawling over. That didn't work. At the higher level, the more you'll see this bar move. Just slowly but surely. The earlier levels from, say, 1 to 3, they fly by super, super quick. 4 took a tiny little bit of time, but not too bad. This is the first time where I'm feeling like a genuine increase in terms of experience necessary, to the point where we'll probably be lucky to get through the halfway point here on this current level. And majority of these were all in the 20s, if not the 30s. I do see there is the Hollow Valente here. I do think that it is cool and whatnot, but I'm still going to throw it in here anyway. Again, none of these Illuvials come with us into something like I could use into Arena right now. So as awesome as it would be to keep them, I'm not going to actually be able to keep them, so to speak. And part of me thinks I could probably just catch an Axon instead. If I found the Axodon in Thursday's stream, I feel like we can find at least an Axon, so I don't have to worry about trying to fuse into Axon. I feel like a run around in Brightland Steps for just a couple of minutes that I could probably, if I'm lucky, get one to spawn. But yeah, we are going to absolutely come out short on the goal here for today. But that's alright, we still progressed a lot. This is an absolute humongous amount of experience. And personally still had an absolute blast while doing this. I thank everybody for joining me during this time. tomorrow will be... I mean, today was still relatively action-packed, don't get me wrong, but tomorrow is absolutely going to be action-packed as well, because we're going to take a look at dungeons and raids. If there's any playtesters out there that would love to group up with me during this time, I'd love to have you. What I'm thinking about potentially doing is a couple of the dungeons around the Taiga Boreal zone. Maybe we hop into Brightland Steppes, depending on if we can tank it or not. I'd love to do the Hollow, the raid boss that's there for Taiga Boreal. Potentially the Boris one as well. And I know it was the one that we kind of play tested a little bit yesterday, but I'd love to do that on stream as well so that everybody can see it. And then maybe we can try just other ones as well, seeing how far we can go up the difficulty change until we get completely taken down without restrictions. I would love to see what we can do with our Illuvials and with our equipment at top performance, so to speak. So if you've got upgraded equipment, or if you've got Illuvials that are like heavily equipped and bonded, heavily leveled, or something along those lines, or any of these Scion abilities, like, let's see what we can do. Let's break some of these bosses, if that makes sense. So it'll be a very instance heavy, a little bit less on the catching side, but still plenty of action. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. It will be a fun time. And again, if anyone wants to come play, that can play in the playtest, would love to have you. And again, shall be closing out for today. We have 5 days worth of streams. I was just talking about the raid. Wednesday is going to be the community news and highlights, of course, with this week in Illuvium. The Obelisk Rising playtest will continue on Thursday. I'm not 100% sure exactly which goal I want to do for that, or what kind of activity I want to center it around, but we'll do it again on Thursday. And then, of course, Friday, Illuvium Arena House League. Registration for that is live. It is in the description of the YouTube stream if you would like to get set up right here, right now, without having to worry about getting caught on a wait list. But again, this is also going to be week 2, where we have Caribou Cup completely set to casual mode. We saw some fantastic signups, or fantastic attendance last week for Caribou Cup, with the big switch over to casual only, ownership off modes, and it was an absolute blast. I want to see that happen again. I love the fact that newcomers are coming in, trying the game out, and they are enjoying it. They acknowledge that they're a little bit behind because of being new and maybe don't have their own Illuvials, but they still find the game fun, and that's what we're looking for. I absolutely love that. But again, shall be closing out. Drop a sub and a like on the way out of the stream. And I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow when we start taking some raids and seeing how far we can go with all of those. Take care, everybody.